In this video, we're going to look at distribution. We're going to define distribution, and then we're going to look at how we can measure distribution and represent it using transects. So distribution is simply where things are found in an ecosystem. So things aren't necessarily found all across an ecosystem. The abiotic factors of the ecosystem will determine where particular things thrive. For example, vegetation is often found around creeks rather than in mountains. So here we've got two different pictures. They're computer-generated pictures of a mountain. And on the left-hand side, you can see that the distribution is even across the whole ground. And on the right-hand side, the distribution is clumped together. So what we're going to do is look at how we can show and depict that the distribution is clumped together, which is more natural in especially plants populations because of the way that they reproduce through seeds and spores. So to represent the distribution, we use a transect. Now, a transect can be thought of cutting the ground along a straight line and just looking at it from the side, or from the top, depending on which way we're going to represent it. So the first way is to look at it from the side. Looking at it from the side, we can get an idea of the altitude, so where the ground sits, as well as the species that are in the area and how tall they are. So we can get a little bit more information than just the distribution. So this would be cutting down into the ground and looking at it from the side. A plan sketch, on the other hand, shows the area that the organisms are in. So if you think of a section looking from the top down, like in an aerial view, that you could make a plan sketch of a transect. Again, this is just along a single line, so it won't tell us all about the ecosystem. It just gives us a typical look at the distribution. In this one, we don't get to see altitude, we don't get to see how tall the organisms are. So although we get the width, we lose out on a couple of the other factors that a profile sketch has. To make a profile sketch, what we do is we lay down a transect. Now, a transect is a straight line through the ground, as I said before. And so all we do is we mark a line across the ground. And usually this would be done with a rope or a long tape, depending on how long your transect is going to be. You then walk along the line of your transect and mark and make a note of where all the organisms are found. So you write down at 10 meters, there's a eucalypt. At 15 meters, there's an acacia, or whatever happens to be in that system. We then choose a symbol for each organism. Now these symbols actually show like a picture of the plant, so you can get an idea of what it is, but it doesn't have to be, and we'll look at that in a bit in the future, but you could just use circles or triangles or stars, so you don't need art skills for this one. This is merely just telling you where things are. We then place those symbols on the profile plan, and we can also put on the elevation, as you can see here, as well as show the relative height of plants based on the size of the symbols. So if it's a big eucalypt, it'll be taller than, or a bigger symbol than a small eucalypt, for example. As I said before, you don't need art skills for this. You can just use symbols. And you can still, with your symbol, show that one tree is bigger than another tree just by having that symbol a bit above the symbol next to it. Okay, so in this video, we've looked at distribution, we've looked at how we measure distribution and how we represent distribution using transects and a profile sketch.